What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new rebuild. Today we have got a Getafe rebuild, but with a bizarre twist. We have to use Haramball tactics. Now, this is one of them weird experiments and rebuilds, where maybe after 5 years, we don't actually win a trophy. So it is going to be a very interesting version of a rebuild, and if you do enjoy the content, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We live stream a lot on here now, doing live rebuilds, which you can get involved in yourself, suggest players, etc, etc, so make sure you whack on that sub bell. Now, before I show you a little bit about the tactic and obviously explain how that is really the big part of the challenge, let's see about Getafe. Now, I have played a season already with them. We'll go over exactly how that ended, because I thought I'd get a season under my belt to see, is this even a video worth doing? And it is worth doing. Now, Getafe as a club, they are a club founded in 1983. They have never really won many trophies of real value. Without sounding too harsh, I think they'd expect a lot more than this. So, in my humble opinion, I think today the aim will be to win a big Spanish trophy, and that could be the main title, it could be the Copa del Rey, could be the Super Copa. I want to win a big trophy, which would mean I am the person responsible that has done that. Now, when we look at their facilities, it's very hit or miss. For example, the main thing they've got is that excellent training facility. They've got good youth facilities or great youth facilities. The rest is either good or adequate. So, to be honest with you, they're not in the best position compared to some of the teams that I've rebuilt. I have built teams with a less name than Getafe that have got better facilities. So this is going to be a bit of a challenge between me and you. And yeah, that is going to be one part of the challenge in itself. The second part is going to come down to something like their finances. So if we go over and look at their finances now, this is another part of the challenge. So yeah, if we look at their actual financial situation, they don't have a ridiculous amount of debt. You know, 30 million's 30 million at the end of the day, but their transfer budgets are stingy. I've rebuilt these twice last year, and the budgets never are good. The budgets are never good. So if you factor in poor facilities, not poor facilities, average facilities really, a very mediocre budget, and the fact that we will be going over and playing with this system. That is right, we are using the JD Haramball inspired by Jose Bordalas. And again, at any part of this video, you want to grab all of these Patreon perks. It includes all of the rebuild files, all of the tactics, set pieces, training, tactical help, ad-free viewing, access to big monthly giveaways, and believe it, so much more. Make sure you come and check out the Patreon, where this month there is going to be a discount running up until Christmas. And yeah, we're approaching close to 7,500 people. So make sure you come and get involved, because it is just a really good place to go and get a selection of files for this wonderful game. Now, this tactic is very, very unique. Now, we have obviously played a season. The quick pick is still not working for me, which is interesting, so we will filter by goals. Now, surprisingly, even with this Haramball tactic, we are actually pulling out some goal output. 24 goals, 18. Obviously, that player's out on loan, so we can't count him. However, I will consider him when he comes back. 16 and 14's pretty good as well. 4 and 6 coming in there for Liso, a lone E player. 9 and 8's 5 and 4. Assist-wise, we've got a lot of players chipping in. Even, you know, factor in the lone players out of the equation, we still have a lot going on. But this tactic is not really designed to be a real goal-scoring system. It's a tactic that obviously is inspired about Haramball. Balanced mentality, more direct, time wasting. You know, you go to out of possession, mid-block. This is the opposite of what the meta is. So I don't know how this rebuild's going to go, but I have seen several comments saying it's a little bit boring when you just use a Gegenpress 4-2-3-1, switch it up. And if that means that we walk away today winning only 1 trophy or 2 or none, whatever it is, if you guys have fun, that's exactly what I'm here to do. Now, as I said, we have gone and played 1 season, and it's only fair you get to see what happened. So, the Copa del Rey, we are not going to be in the final, or probably nowhere near it. The semi-final, we were. To be fair, we were near it. And we do lose 7-4 against Real Madrid. Now, to be honest with you, we must have got past some teams. We get past Cordoba there, a bit of an easier side. Las Palmas, I mean, yeah. I don't want to keep saying how easy this was, because it makes us look quite weak, because the second we play the top team, we get absolutely humbled. Now, to be fair, it's Real Madrid. We've not really made any signings. I think that's a pretty fair, result at the end of the day. Semi-final is not exactly awful. Is it perfect? No. But for a first season, I would definitely get to grips and accept it. Now, when we go and look, for example, at the league, we don't win the league. We finish in 6th. But, in my opinion, that's very, very tidy. We've got European football. We were a few points off, actually, not many, 5 points. 5 points off top 4. A load of points off winning the league. Obviously, Real Madrid were absolutely flying. We don't really have many players to boast about who done really well. But at the end of the day, for season 1, especially factoring in that we have got a lot of players currently unhappy, I will take top 6. Now, when we look actually with the fixtures and stuff like that, this tactic didn't do horrifically. Like, it was a pretty rare occurrence where we were losing a spree of games in a row, i.e., apart from this stint here, which is probably the real turn-off in the season, where we actually did, fall down from maybe a top 4 to a top 6. We started hot, ended negative, and that tells me that it does come down to the squad depth, and that is something that obviously I want to work with and work on quite significantly. Now, the budget isn't going to be big. We are going to have a total of £90 million. That can't really buy you anything in today's footballing world, but it's got to get me something, and I need that desperately. And I have restarted the game and we've got it working, so we can actually look through some of our squad now. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to sit here and say I know a lot of these players. Obviously, some names you're used to seeing from when you watch maybe a Real Madrid game, they're playing Getafe, etc, etc. But this is definitely a challenging team to play with. Now, are we the worst team in the league? Of course we're not. That would be stupid to say. But we definitely need to improve. And looking at this team on paper, my eyes go to getting some really good wingers. Maybe even some more strikers as well, and maybe a new goalkeeper. There is a lot of things that could improve. Now, in terms of squad size, it's okay, but I've looked through this team, and there are some players that, let's say, a little bit older than the rest. So, in my opinion, this next window is going to be a very small part of the fix. I almost might treat this as a bit of a block rebuild. Like, I see this as 1 block, 2 block, 3 block, 4 block. Sort the strikers, sort the wingers, sort the midfielders, sort the centre-backs and goalkeeper. Because with that sort of money we've got, we are never going to go and sign 6, 7, 5, 6 players in a window, unless we consider free agents, which obviously I might go and do. So let's get into the next transfer window, see what happens. I'm hoping there's just a smidgen of action, because without it, we might struggle in the next season. Don't forget, we've got, a bit of, well, quite a fair challenge in the Europa League. We need the squad to be ready. Well, we did actually lose a player in Uche. He goes to Crystal Palace for £16.5 million. And to be honest with you, I'm quite gutted about this, because although that I don't really play an AM, do I, essentially, he is a player that could have been trained to potentially play a little bit deeper or be retrained to play as a striker. He's got the pace that I'm looking for, so I guess 16 million is 16 million, but truth be told, it's a bit of a loss in my opinion. 7.5 million, we are going to find a striker, and I have gone down the forward path, trying to just, slowly rebuild piece by piece. And we play 2 strikers, therefore we need 4, really, that are somewhat decent. This guy comes in, he doesn't do the best. I'm going to put it out there, he does not do the best. But he is a player that I think, base value, looking at his acceleration, his pace, his finishing, his composure, for the money that we spent on him, you're not going to find much better. And also for a player that is happy to come to a top 6 team, and obviously also not have Champions League football, someone like Abilene is a player that I never would sign before, but that's why I love to do these sorts of rebuilds with teams that might have limited finances, because it makes you go after people that usually you just wave goodbye to. And we pick up Joshua Zirkzee for nearly 19 million. So we have spent up big time here. Now, he is already wanted by a Saudi team. And if they come in with money, I may consider it. But Joshua Zirkzee actually somewhat cooks. Now, 21 goals, 11 assists is really, really strong. 7.36 average rating. He has got the finishing down. He has got the composure down. Is he the quickest? No. Does he need to be the quickest? No, not for this system. We play a deep line forward. He suits that really well. Let's not forget, okay, I know we got a lot of stick at United, but in a video game where he has been given 17 dribbling, 15 first touch, 16 passing, 18 technique, 18 teamwork, 16 vision, 19 flair, he is a ridiculously talented technical player who can play this almost down to it's like I've crafted the dream striker. The fact I'm saying that about Zirkzee, by the way, feels strange as a United fan because, you know, we've suffered watching him. But in this team, there is a world where he works, and I've got a feeling he would have been one of our best performers. So do you know what? For that sake, I couldn't be much more happier. Welcoming Joshua Zirkzee. And our first time in the Europa League, of course, a lot of pressure, and we don't win it. I'm going to get that out there very quickly because obviously we can't be expected to in Season 1. Do we get anywhere of significant? Let's go to the league phase. Okay. That's pretty decent. We're not even in the playoffs. So we win 5, draw 2, and only lose 1. We're into the round of 16, where we actually beat AZ 8 goals to 5. The quarterfinals, that's where we fall. It's fair play. Newcastle are a pretty decent team, and I think at this stage of the rebuild, I can't really be too angry about that. Would I have liked to got a little bit further? Of course I would have done. But at the same time, looking at these teams, Stuttgart, Atalanta, Roma, Lyon, Chelsea, Sporting, the only real team here that I feel, 2 teams, maybe 3, Stuttgart, Lyon, Roma, maybe I could have done, but you know, the rest of them, I feel like if we would have got through to the semis, for example, any of these teams would have beaten us. So I'm not going to be too angry. I've got to be somewhat sensible with that. The Copa del Rey is going to go into the hands of Barcelona. Again, we have not got a single thing to be proud about, really. I would take a semi-final, though, and we don't get it. Wow, Barcelona beat Real Zaragoza there 8 goals to 1. We don't get to the quarters. We don't get to the 4th round. We lose to Villarreal in the 3rd round. Now, part of me's annoyed. 3rd round is a joke. Villarreal are a very good team and play similar football to us, quite negative. So that must have been one of the most boring games ever to actually watch. That must have been almost quite painful. So, the league. I'm quite happy because we've improved the place. Now, there was a big part of me where I actually felt this would go south because we're playing in another competition. We've not really signed for the whole team. We've just signed for the strikers. But I feel maybe them strikers have played the part in us actually improving. And I don't know that as a fact. We're going to go and look together and see maybe Joshua Zirkzee has carried us to a bit of a, you know, an improvement in the league. And actually, Zirkzee sets record and goal scoring record. Joshua Zirkzee is better than Kylian Mbappe. And you know what? Maybe that's what the league needs. Let's go and see what he's done, because you can't show me that stat line and not get me excited. And they weren't lying. Joshua Zirkzee, 35 and 14. Now, I knew when I put him in this system, there is a bizarre world this actually works. He gets fed endlessly by the fullbacks, by the wingers. We tell them to get the ball in early. So between him and obviously Mayoral, who scored 22 and 6, we have got quite the strike force. And would you really think that when I say those 2 names? You probably say, Josh, you've lost your damn mind. But to be honest, they've done really, really well. The wingers, 8 and 14. Koba, 7 and 11. To be honest with you, the whole team has chipped in here, even with the assists. So we are quite an unorthodox team when it comes to scoring goals. You wouldn't put, you know, a bet on Joshua Zirkzee being the league top goal scorer. But those that did, they're the ones going to be laughing, because he's come up trumps. But looking at this team now, I am going to stick to my plan. I'm going to go from striker to winger to midfield to backline. So next up, fingers crossed, because we've improved in the league, we're going to have a minimum of 30 million to improve both wings. But before we do that, of course, something that is very important is to take a quick recap on what we have done. So we've won nothing. Sounds negative, right? But we are improving. I genuinely, hand on heart, believe that. We are improving. The league's getting better. The Copa del Rey didn't. Europa League, I'm not going to be angry because I know I wouldn't have won it. So I'm going to accept that. But if we don't keep getting bigger budgets, this improvement's not going to last very long. Well, we are going to have £31.5 million, which in my opinion is a pretty fair amount to play with. Like, it's not going to get you world-class players, but to sign a couple of wingers at this level, I think that's acceptable. What I will say is, when I use the words this level, I am handicapped to signing... You know, I can't go out and sign Lamine Yamal, for example. So we're not going to grow at a ridiculous rate. We're already going into Season 3, and it does make me nervy a little bit, because are we going to have enough years to get to the very top? As it stands, if we were climbing a position each year, that wouldn't be enough. And that's based off the fact that I can keep improving. This might go down to the wire. Well, we are going to have an outgoing in Jose Francisco Enriquez. I think I've said that right. He is a future prospect that never would have got game time, so I sold him for 575k. He was actually one of our own, so that money is, well, it's pure profit. We need that. 24.5 million. We have got a player that some would say is too good for us, because this is a player that thrives off, you know, being able to play elegant football and really take on a team. For me, you run, get the ball in, job done. That's what I expect. But when you see someone like Ernest on the market that I can afford, you've got to get him in. He offers great crossing, good dribbling, he's rapid. He has also got something which might come in handy, and that is going to be a little bit of finishing. Now, our wingers are not told to be, you know, like, let's think of someone who cuts it all the time. Somebody like a Mo Salah, for example. I wish I had Mo Salah. Someone like that. They are told to be traditional wingers. Get the ball in and just do your job. But there is a world where in the last season I might tweak it a little bit and get as much as I can out of them. And someone with 14 composure and, you know, 13 finishing, you've got to sort of turn to those players. And a player that scores 7 goals in his debut season, for me, picks up 9 assists. I think, to be honest with you, it's absolutely essential he gets considered to have that put onto him, because there is more he can offer than just run and cross. And for 11.5 million, we sign another winger in Diego Maria. Now, this guy does complete the second winger that we needed. Now, I wasn't originally going to sign somebody after I signed, I've already forgot his name. I've already forgot Ernest. Sorry, that is not, I'm not a good manager, am I? I can't even remember the guy's name. When I signed Ernest, I thought, do you know what? I might go against my own word here and not sign 2 wingers. But I'm going to stick to my original plan of signing striker, winger, midfield, defence, and goalkeeper, and build it up piece by piece. It's a really bizarre way to rebuild a squad, but it's actually somewhat gone in order. We didn't have the strikers sorted. We didn't have the wingers sorted. This season, we've got good midfield depth. We've still got okay depth at the back line, so there is logic behind my thinking. As for Diego, currently, he is against the teammates' treatment of Xavi Munoz. And I'm not being told what to do by my team. You listen, or you're gone. So we are going to roll the dice again in the Europa League, and that dice has gone off the table because we are not going to be anywhere near the final, I don't think. We're not in the semis. Are we in the quarters? We're not in the quarters. We lose to Lazio in the round of 16, which, to be honest with you, doesn't really mean we've improved. In fact, we fall off big time. We have to play in this stage where we do get past. This will be fun. Pogon Cezine? I think I've got that right. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. But yeah, that's nothing to be proud of. In fact, we should be quite embarrassed. The Copa del Rey, again, the one thing we can boast about is we have the most goals. This is the opposite of Haramball in terms of what you'd expect from stats. But did we get very far in this competition then? We do to... 7-2 is not a nice scoreline, but it is what it is. You're playing Real Madrid. Now, to be fair, the goals then, I mean, we beat Barcelona, so I'm going to say we have improved in this, you know. We've got a stat line in our favour. We've taken down one of the Spanish giants in Barcelona. They've won it 2 times in the past 4 years. So we are improving, but not enough. Not enough. As for the league, We're flying. We have gone up a lot of places, and we now have 2 seasons to take it to Real Madrid. Now, we are obviously a few points behind them. When I say a few, it's a lot of points behind them. But we also have built up a gap from the teams below us. Now, Barcelona are always going to be in contention, right? They're always going to be breathing down my neck. But Real Madrid, they're like, I'm here. They're like here. They have run off with it. But with 2 years, I feel like I can try and catch up. Next season's vital because we've got Champions League football, you know, the thing that I forgot to mention that is one of the biggest things you can do in football. I might purposefully bottle the games in that to focus on the league because I don't know, unless we have got a really, really good budget, I don't know if we're going to have the facilities to take it to a Champions League and to, you know, hold this position in the league. Well, the one thing I don't want to happen is to go into every competition wanting to win every single one and putting all my resources into every single one, and I look back at this league table and we're down in 6th, because so far we've improved season by season. To not do that next year, i.e. keep 2nd or improve, it would be a travesty. And looking at the budget, a travesty might be pending because we've got 13 million. That is actually disgusting. The fact we have got this team into top 4 football, runners up in the Spanish league, Champions League football acquired, beat Barcelona, improving clearly, and they're giving me 13 million. What am I meant to do with 13 million? Well, what I'm going to have to do is tap up the free agent market and convert all of that into wage, because you get nothing with that in today's footballing world. You quite literally get nothing. That's actually annoyed me quite a fair bit. And this team is, you know, when I say it's no joke, I mean, it's no joke for the amount of improvements we need. The attack is very, very good, but we need better midfielders, better rotation. The backline needs significant investment. So I'm going to have to hope, fingers crossed, that there are free agents on the market. Now, there are some. I've played this game a lot. I basically play this game 16 hours a day. I know what I can expect from the free agent market. I know there are some names that usually come about this time of year that I can go after. But are they going to win me a league title? I don't think so. Unless there's a miracle that happens, I'm angry with this. The board have let me down. And it's not for the first time. Whenever I manage Getafe, the owners, they don't help me out one bit. Well, on the free, we sign Ashley Phillips. Ashley Phillips, guys, to win a Spanish League title, yeah? Ashley Phillips is going to come in, and do you know what? He does awful. I don't even blame him. It's a pressure situation, right? I'm signing players now to try and win me a league title, and I'm turning to Ashley Phillips. No discredit to him, by the way, but you know something's not gone right when you spend nothing on him and he's worth nothing. He's not even worth a penny. These are the levels that I'm having to hit to build up my squad. What can I even expect? £10 million, we do sign a player that could win a Spanish title because he has got good heading, great tackling, good passing, good marking. He's quick, good anticipation, good composure, good determination. He's only 25 and he plays every single game in the league and stayed fit. I think this guy is an improvement. He currently is already wanted by 2 Saudi teams, so hopefully loyalty is key. However, I can pay him 5k, they can pay him 5 million probably, so hopefully he's a player that doesn't really value money too much, because there's a world where I lose him next year. The one free agent that is a bold shout, but he has come in, picked up 5 assists, is Robinson. He is a really good wing-back in the Premier League, a Fulham player, of course. He can come in and win me a league title. Now, again, he is someone that I'd skip over usually day-to-day in Football Manager, purely because I think he's not really got too much left in the tank in terms of age and things like that. But these are the lengths that I'm going to have to go to. And at the end of the day, is he a dream left-back? Stat-wise, I'm going to say yes in this situation. But long-term, of course, he isn't. So this is very much short-term success, hopefully, long-term pain. He will need to be replaced. But that is the end of the window. And looking at it, I'm quite frustrated because at the end of the day, the border is static, yeah, because you're not diving into your pockets. The supporters are pleased. That's a fake smile. And at the end of the day, I don't know what to expect from this. We've never really had a mental window. Like, if I was to go all through all of these, the most we've spent is like 38 million. And we're talking about turning the team into league winners. And we deserve the money. We're improving this team season by season. And we're getting nothing. Well, our first run in the Champions League, I have got no expectation. If we go out early doors, we go out early doors. Let's go and see if we even got through the league phase. Okay, we done quite well into the playoffs where we are going to beat Fenerbahce. That's a pretty good result. And then we lose to Arsenal. Do you know what? I can accept that. That is a lot better than what I thought would happen. I'm happy. I'm not happy, but I am not upset. I can go away from this and say, do you know what? We give that our all. And considering it's our first time, I'm even happy to get out of the league phase. Well, we get to the Copa del Rey final. I put on the lights and really locked in, and we still lost. That is going to be a cup final that we do lose. I'll say it. It's not a 4-2 game, is it, in my opinion? I mean, the fact we took the lead and then just completely... I mean, look at that. 53, 57, 58. Scrap my positivity. We don't deserve it. The Supercopa is going to go in the hands of Barcelona, and it's Barcelona domination, really, at the end of the day. When we actually look at the semi-final, which, of course, we played in, Barcelona dispatched us quite easily. And before we look at the league, let's look at the money, because whatever we've done in the league, this is what we've got to go into the last season with. And we're going to have a budget of £26 million. Now, that doesn't mean we have done bad, because we've done sensational and got 13 million. If anything, we may have won the league, and that's all they can cough up. If we've not finished second, I am going to freak out. I can't believe my eyes. I've been sat here for about 5 minutes just staring at the screen. We have finished in 15th place. We finished in 15th place, and I'm not taking the blame for this. It's lack of investment, lack of opportunity, lack of positivity, lack of everything. We have been on a constant growth here. What is happening? What am I even looking at now? I don't want to look at the media prediction. Please work, game. Please, I want to go to the next season. It still doesn't work. We'll keep that in the video because SI, you need to fix it. We're 15th in the league. I do not know what this means for this rebuild. This is what makes my channel a bit unique, though, because it's not all fairy tales. Whatever happens, happens. And what is a story that always ends in positivity? You know, you need to have either a miracle or heartbreak. And I don't even want to talk. Just cue the next season. Well, we're restricted to a couple of free agents and some cheap signings, as we are going to pick up Ferran. He is going to come in for nothing. He cost me nothing because we've got nothing to spend. He actually does quite well, to be fair. We just needed a bit of a different goalkeeper. Someone that could come in and actually, well, save a shot would be quite nice. And he comes in and he keeps 16 clean sheets. I'm quietly quite happy about that signing. He come from Madrid as well, so he comes from a decent, obviously, club. You know what you're going to get when Madrid has signed him. You know what they're going to, usually be a decent player. So the fact we get him on the free, already a first choice goalkeeper, says two things really. One, how has our old goalkeeper survived that long? And two, how do we get him for free? Well, for 5 million, we are going to welcome in Baptista. Now, this guy comes in, he plays a few games, and he plays a lot less than what I thought, because he's actually worth up to £50 million. He currently is support and teammate. What is this? We're not here to be friends. We're here to win at the end of the day. These little social groups, they need to stop. And he's a player that, maybe if he wasn't friendship obsessed and performance obsessed, he would have played more games. But, yeah, a very good player on paper that quite simply didn't hit the ground running. Where have we heard that before this video? Well, this one is interesting because Ronnie Bargi, one of the world's hottest young football talents, I pick up on the free, and that's because he has developed shockingly in this save. It was a massive gamble bringing this guy in. Now, it's not a ridiculous gamble. There was no transfer fee, but it does take up nearly 40k in a wage, and he done awful. It was not a good signing. I think I may have lost my head with the money situation, and I'm putting everything that I potentially can do, putting it into one big basket, shaking it, and we hope. As for £16 million, we also pick up Angel Alekron. That is right, we are now using installments. If they're not going to give me money, I will bankrupt the club. And he is going to come in, and to be fair, he does a little bit better. He is a player that obviously we sort of need on the wing. I feel like the wingers we signed are very good, but what essentially happened is we brought in obviously Ernest. He is doing really, really well, as is the previous winger we signed, but then the rotations got to the point where they were even a little bit too poor to be rotation players, so we had to then replace them, hence why Angel is going to come in. He picks up 6 goal contributions. Considering he only started 7 games, you can't really query that too much. He's just a really handy player to have. As we also pop the release clause for Marcos Leonardo, he comes in and scores 23 goals and picks up 7 assists. So there is a world where I think we have won the league, and that might sound mental considering obviously we finished so far down the table. But I look at everyone that's come in, this guy mainly, to score that amount of goals, that can win you league titles. If you look at what Xerxes done, that pushed us up the league table a lot. If this guy can go alongside a Xerxes, there's a very bizarre striker partnership forming. But you look at him on base value, he's ridiculously good. And I'm just hoping that I might almost fluke a trophy. That's what I'm begging for. Well, the Super Copper, we're not going to win the Super Copper the entire rebuild because we lose 2-0 to Real Madrid in the final. So that's already one chance of a trophy gone. The Copa del Rey we are not going to win. That is that chance gone. So it does mean that pretty much the league is our last roll of the dice to win a trophy this rebuild. And looking at it, the semi-finals we don't get to, the quarters we lose to Barcelona. I am now relying on winning the league to win a trophy this rebuild, and the whole video purpose was to see, can you win a trophy playing Haramball over an actual save, not a tactic test, over a whole save where people are leaving, people are unhappy, people are annoyed that they're not really playing in their favoured positions. Can you do it? Let's go and find out. The answer's no. We finish in 3rd place. Now, while we get the most clean sheets, so I'm going to be happy about that, we have not won anything this rebuild. And I did say at the very start of this video, I would recommend watching the entire thing, because I like doing these sorts of videos where, essentially, the result's not guaranteed, you know? If I'm rebuilding Getafe using a 4-2-3-1, I know I would have won the league at least twice, because it's a 4-2-3-1. Using Haramball in an actual save is very, very challenging. And, I'll explain a bit more about why. Well, it's difficult because you're essentially playing a system that doesn't really have much meta about it. If you look at, for example, the team instructions, mid-block is the opposite of meta, more direct the opposite, time wasting from kickoff is very, very strange. But I'm glad I've done this because the Haramball tactic got a lot of love, and obviously it's a very sort of, what's the word, social media hype thing at the moment. The interesting thing is, the goals actually were somewhat there for the first few seasons, then they fell off a cliff. So what I'm going to say is, I'm going to attach this on the Patreon, the tactic and the save file. If you want to try and outclass me, outcompete me, and win a league title, I'm going to give you 2 more years. You can sign who you want, but you cannot change the tactic. If you beat me, fair play. But in fact, the first person that beats me, I will send you £25 on PayPal, but you need to show me proof by sending the save file. No cheating, no tactic changes. If you have enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, whack the bell on, make sure you come by the live streams, come say hello as well, because we're going to be doing these live soon, which is going to be very, very frustrating if they don't give me money, and also I can take your advice. Maybe I need it after this video. I'll see you in the next one.